Thank you for coming, Amali.
No problem, it's good to be here.
So we're going to ask you a couple questions just so that the students can get a better idea of who you are and what you plan to do if you become president.
Sounds good, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to start with, what do you think makes you different from all the other candidates?
What makes me different? I would say I bring experience to the table. I bring a sense of urgency to student issues, and I bring most importantly, practicality. I've heard other candidates bring up issues that I feel are, I would say, not as urgent as other issues that students are facing. For example, over 50% debit fee that we pay when we use Armony services on campus. This fee is annoying, yeah, I agree. I have to pay it as well. But most importantly, the university is currently in the process of negotiating a tuition reset for all students at St. Mary's University, which means that they will have the ability to negotiate a higher rate of increase of tuition annually for students. Right now it's set at 3% annually. If this tuition reset is granted by the Nova Scotian provincial government, then it could go up to 6, 7, 8% if need be. And I think that's a much more pressing issue that we have to address. Secondly, international differential fees have been going up drastically over the last 4 years. I think over the last 4 years they have increased by almost 80%. And next academic year it's looking like it's going to be raised from 6% to maybe 8, 9, 10, 11%. So comparing a 50-cent debit fee to an extra $400 that you'll have to pay on your tuition, I think that's a much more important issue that we have to address.
Yeah, I would agree, and it definitely links into the second question we have for you, which is, in light of the recent university tuition fee protests that have been happening in Halifax,
yes.
What role do you think funding plays in the lives of students? And if you were in a position to help in the process of acquiring funds, how would you do it?
That's a very good question, Mackenzie, thank you. The president usually sits on the Board of Governors for St. Mary's University. The Board of Governors is a body which overlooks the work of the executive management team at St. Mary's, which is the president, his vice presidents, management, etc. Now, on the Board of Governors, we often discuss issues pertaining to fundraising and that kind of stuff. So, the Mr. President is in a position to lobby and to even provide assistance in generating funds for the university, because the university has people who fundraise for them, so that students can have bursaries, grants, and scholarships from the outside community. That is one avenue, and the second one would be to reduce student spending. SMUSA is actually currently working on implementation of an open educational resources program here at St. Mary's. Long story short, that is basically the elimination of textbooks. So what happens is when you apply for school at St. Mary's, you pay your tuition. Let's say, for example, you pay a $20 OER fee, and that would go into all the course material that you would be required of you for the entire semester, the entire school year. So professors would actually sit down and create their own course material. You'd pay one fee when you sign up for your courses, and that will give you access to all these resources online, so you will also be saving trees.
Yes,
so
that's
that
very true.
I know textbook is a really huge cost for students. These days I've heard students spending upwards of $600-700 per semester on books, which is an atrocity.
Yeah, I agree. And the third question we have for you is on a different note. So St. Mary's has been labeled as an international university that has a diverse culture mosaic. But in recent times, it's been cited as weak in advocacy and representation when it comes to gender and sexuality issues. So do you think the diversity of St. Mary's population is equally represented? And also, how do you plan as a presidential-elect to improve representation on campus?
Well, I would say no, or minorities are not equally represented. I think that's quite obvious. SMUSA actually opened its Equity Center last year, which is a department of the association that addresses these issues. I say to correct these issues that we're facing is to provide more funding to the Equity Center, give the Equity Center a lot more resources so they can fight these battles for minorities, as well as the support of the President and the Board of Directors. avenue where I think our minorities, culturally, racially, gender, support that can be given to them is to our societies. Most of our minorities on campus, whether it's, like I said, racial, gender, cultural, half society is on campus. And I believe if we empower our societies, we give them the tools, we give them the resources to fight their own battles, and in the event that they fail or need assistance, of course the president and the board of directors of SMUSA and the university as well will be here to support them. So I believe, number one, supporting our equity center, making more resources available for them, and number two, empowering our societies, because you can't have people who don't want to help themselves.
Yes, that's true. Well, thank you for coming out and
No
giving us your
problem.
time.